My name is Suresh Raghuram. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Platform9. I'd like to go over a key capability that we are announcing next week. So this is a preview that's special for you guys, but we're actually going to announce it formally next week. Ray had a question on how do with Amazon, I can have multiple regions, I can manage all of this distributed infrastructure. How do you do that? Well, I want to talk about how we do that. The architecture is that you could have, take a hypothetical customer. You could have a production vSphere environment that's running in California. You could also have one more secondary site or another production site running on the East Coast. And you may even have a dev test KVM-based environment in California. So you're starting to get multiple different sites with different use cases and so forth. What we do is ultimately help IT manage this more easily and end users use this more easily. And we do that by essentially using the OpenStack-based fabric, manage all of these, each as a dedicated region. So you would now be able to say that these are 3 dedicated regions, and those regions could, in some cases, like in the California and Massachusetts case, actually map to the fact that they're 2 geographically different sites with, you probably want localized image libraries to optimize the I/O transfer that's involved in creating a new VM. Or you may even want to have a mix and match of 2 different hypervisors. So you may have an existing vSphere environment, but maybe looking to build up a new KVM environment. So I'm going to do this very quickly with a jump into a live environment. So this is actually the Platform9 environment that I was showing you earlier. This is the environment that we use for our functional integration. And what I want to show you here is this little dropdown. Okay? So Ray, you had a question on regions. These are your regions. The difference from Amazon is these are your regions. You decide what these regions are. These are different hypervisors. These are different sites. It's really up to you, right? And it looks and works exactly the same. It exposes the same set of APIs. The user interface is exactly the same. So if I were to switch into this,
how many layers of regions does it support? Can you layer stuff?
It's really up to you. So it's horizontal. So there's no nesting of regions. It's just horizontal,
right?
And there's no limit. It's as many regions as you want.
The one thing that you seem to be missing out of this is the object storage S3 kinds of facilities that facilitate cloud use and things of that nature. Do you see yourself going down this path with something, or?
We partner with object storage solutions. The reason for that is that there's a lot to do in a private cloud. There's a lot to do in a cloud platform, and we want to do what we're uniquely placed to do and do that really well, and not try to spread ourselves too thin. So 2 things that we partner with the community on is storage and networking. So we don't provide a block storage solution. We could be using something like Ceph. We could be providing an object storage solution like Swift. We could be providing a networking solution. Networking is a little different. You do need to provide a certain basic level of functionality out of the box. But the idea here is we interoperate and we partner with a range of solutions that customers have to choose from, and we integrate with all of them while providing the core orchestration platform. So the OpenStack Foundation itself has kind of recognized that the OpenStack project is so wide and so vast that they have now started defining different SKUs, so to speak. So there's something called the core compute platform, the core platform, and then there's an OpenStack storage platform and an OpenStack object storage platform. So in the past, these have all been lumped into one bucket, but we think of ourselves as providing that core, right? Helping you integrate compute, storage, and networking solutions that you may have with a true private cloud. So just going back into this view, I want to show you, it looks exactly the same, but let me actually show you a tour of how this capability looks when you were to use it from an administrative point of view. So one of the things you do in a cloud platform is you'd probably enable self-service. Even if you're not actually enabling full self-service to end users, you may be interested in giving customers, giving people the ability to visualize, show back the allocation of capacity, usage of capacity by different functions and use cases. So if you were to go and in OpenStack, that's done by adding a tenant. A tenant represents a group of users, a certain use case. It could be like a test dev team, and I could go ahead and allocate quotas But look at how easy it is to allocate quotas. I can allocate quotas from a choice of different regions. I can choose to say they have unlimited CPU on this region, but in the vSphere region they have 30 CPUs, 30 virtual CPUs, right? And you have controls on all of the specifics, right? If it's memory, CPU, storage, instances. The point being that you can choose to give them capacity across these different regions, and likewise on
Now, Suresh, these are interesting. So if you go back to what you were doing before, in the vSphere region, you were able to do volume snapshots, but in region 1 region, you're not able to do volume snapshots. Is that because the capabilities under region 1 do not support volume snapshots?
No, it does support. So
What was there?
It was just
Sorry,
scroll down.
ignore my last question.
No problem. So likewise on networks, these different regions may have different networks,
watch
right?
the bar.
And you can actually say that I'm going to give this
Wake me up an hour, will
organization
you?
access to the lab network in this region, and I'm going to give them access to the lab network and the VM network in this region, right?
Does this imply you have to pre-build the networks you want to give out to your tenants?
We'll talk about networking. There's a whole session we'll talk about networking. But in the platform line model, in the demo where I authorized the vSphere gateway earlier today, that was the process where it discovered the networks that you already had based on the vSwitches that you already had. So you do need to manage them in terms of making sure that you've set their settings, how is IP address allocated on those networks. But that's all there is to it.
Exactly, okay. Yeah.
So this is a very quick tour of the region's capability. My point being that it's so simple and straightforward to seamlessly manage different regions, which could be different sites or different hypervisors. So going back to some of the questions we are having about making it easy for customers to use multiple hypervisors while having a single pane, this is really the first time that comes together in a manner that's so well integrated, right? And this is a capability that we're announcing next week, but I hope you enjoy the sneak peek. It's something that I have a customer anecdote on later today. There's been a lot of interest in, because even though we've supported KVM and vSphere side by side before, this seems to bring it together in a manner that's so much more usable for the first time. Yes.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely.
Has there been any thought towards lifecycle management, assigning particular values to particular cost centers? Like AWS, for example, storage is much, much more expensive than some sort of internal location. Have you put any sort of overarching control plane on top of that?
So we do have some of the lifecycle capabilities. So for example, when you create a tenant, you assign a quota, which tends to act as a way to throttle capacity utilization. But also we have integration with OpenStack Ceilometer. So if you want to do show back and bill back and even do charge back, then you can actually do all of that using solutions that are available out of the box that integrate with Ceilometer. Now, we've had customers who were thinking of a dedicated, fully blown chargeback solution, but when they saw what the product offered out of the box, they were satisfied with what that provided. But at the same time, if you wanted to go the whole shebang and actually have a fully integrated chargeback solution, there's solutions that integrate with the APIs that we have today.
Suresh, one other question about the multi-region. There was some indication there that you could move a VM to KVM or vice versa, and it's something to do with the fact that the images are maintained in a special format or something like that?
So every region has its own dedicated image library. So the image library in vSphere would tend to represent the images as vSphere templates, and the image library on a KVM environment would use, typically QEMU. So there is a translation mechanism that's possible, but today there is a support portal article that we have that documents how to do this translation, and that's the point that we were talking about earlier, where it is possible for us to automate it. It's a matter of prioritization and whether we want to do it. But the building blocks are all in there. So, sorry, go ahead.
So would that also integrate with the vSphere content library?
Yes.
Or would it be just, two different layers discovering each other automatically?
So if you have templates on a data store, we integrate with that.
Exactly. Yeah, so your entry point is the template somewhere registered, not caring how it got there, basically.
That's right. It's agnostic.
Yeah, that's
So
good. Yeah.